Welcome. Today we'll start looking at Excel, data analysis with Excel. Now, don't be confused about the way my worksheet looks. It looks quite different from yours. And I'll explain why your worksheet is looking a little bit different. There is a little bit modification I made to your version that I have not done to this version that I'm holding, but believe me, they are the same files. They are one and the same. Now, this file you see is a movie collection. As you can see, a lot of movies inside here. And if you're having issues with finding movie you want to watch this Christmas, well, then look, we'll have a lot of movies there for you to choose from. Now, this is a table. All you have here is a table, and tables have structures. Understand that tables have structures. And the structure of a table is defined by rows and columns. It's a very important thing for you to understand that tables have structure, and that structure is defined by rows and columns. This is the structure of every table. Now, these are the columns. So you look at the columns going horizontally from top to bottom. Those are columns. So this is the column A, this is column B, column C, column D, column E. And it extends to, but there are a lot of columns in Excel. Very, very nice. Now, these are the rows. So you have row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6. And it extends, this particular file extends up to about 3,000 rows. So these are the columns and these are the rows. So every table is structured into rows and columns. That defines the structure of a table, the rows and the columns. Now, the intersection between a row and a column is called a cell. A cell. Where the rows and the columns meet, the crossroad, where each row, so this is column A, right? This is row 1. This is a cell. This point, that box is considered a cell. This is column B. This is row 5. This meeting point between column B and row 5 is a cell. So you can see that everywhere the rows and the columns intersect. That is what creates this spreadsheet. So you have a bunch of cells. Now, each cell is identified by the column name and the row number. So this would be A1 because this is where column A intersects with row 1. That's why it is cell A1. The next cell beneath it would be A2 because it is where the column A intercepts with row 2. So it is called cell A2. And if you want to, if you click on your cell, just click on this one, you would see it should highlight the name of the cell there. Once you click on it, so I'm going to click on this. And you should see here, right here, Excel should show you the name of the cell. In my case, it's A5. Can you see it? A5. And it's called A5. Okay. It's called A5 because it is the intersection between column A and row 5. That's why it is A5. Do you have any questions so far? No questions. What's the name again? Maybe. No questions. You're fine. So the reason why we are talking about this is because I want to take this note. The reason why we are doing this is because we will do a lot of selection, plenty selection. So in Excel now, you have the opportunity to define your column names because you might want to have a column bearing a unique name. So this column that have the title of movies, we give it the name of title, right? This one is now the release date. This is the column color, black and white, which indicates if the movie was produced in color or black and white. Then genre refers to the genre the movie was produced under. If it was comedy, it was art, drama, it was a musical, an animation, a crime, adventure. That's the genre. Then we have the column of language, which defines the language the movie was produced in: English, French, Arabic, so many of them. Same thing goes for the country, the rating, the lead actor, director's name, and other factors. Now, you should note that the data is divided into two, as we spoke yesterday, that data types, right? We talked about data types yesterday, and we said we usually have two data types. Can you remember data types? Quantitative. Then maybe what's the next one? For qualitative. All right. Cool. So in this data set, we have those two data types being represented here. Some of them are like this, like the title, it is qualitative data, right? But when we look at the lead actor Facebook like, those are numbers. So that is what? Quantitative data, correct? So we have all data types represented, but there is only something need to also take into consideration. It's also numerical, but we treat it differently. Dates. Date is numerical, but we treat it uniquely. We don't treat date like a random number. We treat date like a range. So I'll show you how you do that in Excel. So quantitative, quantitative, and dates. Those are the three data types we have inside of this spreadsheet. So if you want to take this down, it's fine. Please take it down or just write it. Write it. We'll come back to it soon. Where's your book and pen? Are you using your phone? You left it. Please get a paper and pen. It's very important. Human memory is very unreliable. All right, moving forward. Now let's talk about this topic of data types. We'll talk about it a lot when we get to every module. We cannot talk about it too much. We will keep repeating it over and over and over again until it sticks to your memory. You've not listened it. Yes, go on. Yes. Yes. Three. Yes. No. In this spreadsheet, that is where I want to go now. We will treat, there's another word I want to introduce. Now, the way it works is this. In the real world, take this, I tell all my students, everything is data. Right? Everything is data. Now, the way things happen in the real world Some things naturally fall into a type of data and there's nothing you can do about it. Like temperature. Temperature can never be a whole number. There's nothing you can do about it. Pressure can never be a whole number. There's nothing you can do about it. So how do you treat those type of incidents? A person's age can never be a fraction. Nobody is 1.5 years old, even though we always say 2.5. Nobody is ever 2.5 years old. Amount of money. Yeah, you can get Scobos and but let's say number of goals scored in a football game. Nobody can score 2.5 goals. There's no way you can score 1.5 goals in a football game. It's not possible. If it's 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, there's no that. So those data, right? Everything is data. Things fall into a certain data type naturally, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Now, when we are analyzing data, all these are things we'll treat in statistics, but we start from the easiest part before we get to the complex part. Let's learn from the ground up. So under data types, we have, now let's talk, this you have to draw. If you can't draw, take a picture. Now here we have ordinal data, and categorical data. Okay, let's not go that way. Let's go a little bit lower. Let's use numeric data. Let's call it numeric data for now. There's a reason I'm not going that deep yet. And categorical data. So numeric data will give birth to 2 children. Discrete and continuous. Categorical data would give birth to 2 children. Ordinal data and let's deal with ordinal data for today. The other type of data, we'll talk about it when you're more mature. But for now, let's just talk about ordinal data. So numeric data, as we already know, is numbers. It's numbers. And like I just explained, discrete data are things you consider whole numbers. They are discrete data. Whole numbers. Continuous data are decimal, yes. Decimal point data. So a value can fall either as discrete or continuous, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Understand? There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So this is easy to understand. Well, easy to understand this part of the chart. On this other side is where the problem lies. So what we do is, under categorical data, is when you want to group items based on similar features. Now, which operating system are you using? Your phone? Android. What's your operating system? Some of them iOS. Okay, very fine. Now, if I want to group this class into operating systems, let's say we are 50 people. Let's say 100 people, 100 students here, 100 students. Inside these 100 students, 90 of them are using Android. 10 are using iOS. If I group them by operating systems, what will happen? We'll have 2 groups of students. You understand? Because inside 100 people, they have 2 categories now: iOS users and Android users. Are you getting the idea of categorical data? If I decide to group them by their name, How many groups will we have? By their individual names, how many groups will we have? Yes, the people will have about 100 groups because everybody's name will most likely be unique. So there is nothing I share in common with this person. Even if we have Peter, what is the chance of having two Peter Samuels? Right? So unique identifier. We cannot group by unique identifier, even though it is a categorical data. It is wrong because you end up coming back to having 100 unique groups. It does not make any sense. Now, if we decide to do something like grouping by the title, we will come back to having 3,000 unique groups. It does not make any sense. So what we can do is that we can group the title based on the genre. We can group these movies based on the genre because different movies fall under the same genre. That is categorical data. That is how you use categorical data. When you're using numeric data, you're looking for things like the highest, maybe you want to find the actor that has the highest Facebook like, the top 10 actors that have the highest Facebook like. That's that for using numeric data. But if you want to use categorical data, you need to group them based on categorical features that they share in common. Is the concept making sense? So we can group the movies again by country. That will work because many movies have this same countries, right? We can group the directors by country too. But if we want to group the country by director, I don't know how that's going to play out. So categorical data is what you use to create in statistics is called, what's that word? Stratums or strata. Anyone. And stratums or strata refers to the smaller groups that are formed inside your data. So to find that, another thing we can group by is by gender, because inside 1,000 people, we know we can only get two genders, or maybe more than two genders, depending on where you are and who you are. Two. All right. Now, this is just ground stuff. This is just breaking the tip of the iceberg. I hope you're not doing too much. Now, there are cases where when you're grouping, order matters. And there are cases where when you're grouping, order does not matter. Now, what I'm saying is this. If we want to group people based on their eye color, does order matter? Green eye, blue eye, yellow eye, black eye, brown eyes. Order does not matter, right? Does not matter. But if we want to group people based on salary, does order matter? Order matters then, right? This is your phone. Is it your phone or your system? What are you doing? System. So there are times when order matters, and there are times when order does not matter. Cool. Now, order will not matter when you're just grouping one categorical data by another categorical data. Order will not matter. Maybe you are grouping the movies based on country, right? Order will not even matter. But if you are grouping the movies based on their revenue, then order will matter. The order in which we list them will matter. If you are just grouping all the continents in Africa, all the countries rather in Africa, based on West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, there's no order in that matters. We just have groups of West African countries, East African countries. Order will not matter. But if you are grouping them based on their GDP, then order will matter. So order will only matter once you add a numeric value to your grouping. Then order will matter. It's just like you're grouping, you're rating things on Amazon or Jumia, right? If you're looking for the best product, you're looking for the one that has the highest stars. You understand? Then in that case, order would come into play. So the way you group them now matters. Only when you are including a numeric feature, then order is important. If there's no numeric feature when you're grouping, then there's no need for order. The grouping can come in anyway. And I'll show you how you can achieve that. So all of this is just underlying theory that you need moving forward. It's just theory. Now let's get our hands busy. Now, inside of Excel, we will need to create a pivot table. We will need to create a pivot table. To analyze data in Excel, you need pivot tables. Pivot tables is the heart of data analysis inside of Excel. You cannot do without it. Try your best. I dare you. So we have to create our table now. To create the table, we need to select. Are we done with this on the board? Stratum, stratas. Now, to create a pivot table, which is the elephant in the room today, like I said, analyzing data in Excel, pivot table is the heart of it. Without pivot table, you cannot at all. So there are two methods. Method of creating pivot tables. Method number one is through a range. Method number two is from a table. Now, your data set, the version you have, the reason why it looks different from mine is because I created a table for you already. Now I'll show you how to create a table, but mine does not have, so I'll use that instance to show you how to create a table. So you can create data, a pivot table, from a range. Now, when I say range, it means that I can select a portion of this data and create my pivot table out of this portion. So if I only want from A1 to maybe K45 to be the part of the data that I want to use for my pivot table, I can select that range. You understand that? If I want to use the entire data, I will create a table and it will allow me. If I want to use the entire data too, I can still select the entire range of my data and create that pivot table out of the entire range of my data. So the first method is using range, and the reason why I told you about selecting cells is because once you're picking the range, you need to select where you will start from. So you can say we are starting from A1 and we are stopping at, let's say for instance, K25. So this is an example of what a range would look like, and that's what we are going to do now. So key tips for selecting in Excel is this. Click on title, click on cell A1. Are you there? Click on A1. Yours, enable editing, maybe. Enable editing. You'll not be able to do anything as long as this is open. Are you having issues with interacting with yours? All right, so click on cell A1. To select a row, Hello. To select a row, remember the row goes from left to right. The column goes from top to bottom. Do control, hold control on your keyboard, hold down shift, then press your right arrow key. Control and shift. What are we doing? What are we doing? This is A1. Okay, hold control. Here's your shift. Right, what's that? What's that? Hold control, hold shift, then this right arrow key once. So it has selected, it's highlighted now. So it has selected the entire, it's going to from hold control and shift again. Now go the other way. Supposed to go left. There's nothing to the right. Yes. So ahead. Cool. So you have selected all of this. That's the way to do it. Now, if you want to select to the end, you do the same. You hold control, hold shift, then down, arrow key. So if you want to select the entire data, now what you do, hold on, let me show actually. Okay, you do the same for, try doing it for the column now, control and shift, down arrow key. Cool. So now you see that to select the row and the column is control plus shift plus the direction you want to go. So it's control plus shift plus your direction, whether you want to go up, you want to go left, you want to go right, you want to go down. That is how you select a range. That's how you select a range. Now, we'll push it one step further and we will attempt to select the entire data. Now, when you're doing this, you might be wondering, how does Excel know where the data ends? So if I do Control Shift, right arrow key, it stops here, right? How does Excel know where my data ends? The truth is, Excel does not know, cannot know. It's just programmed to stop when it sees a blank space. That's the way it works. So because there is no data here, it will stop here. Now, don't do this, but I will do it on my end just to show you what I'm talking about. If I find a cell, let me zoom in so you can see. So this cell, I will delete the data inside here. Doesn't matter. I'll delete it, leave it empty. Now, if I try to select the entire column, Control, Shift, down arrow key, are you seeing what's happening? It's stopping here, it's breaking because there is no data here. So the method would end whenever Excel meets a blank space. So it's not as if Excel was too smart to know that our data ends here. If there was a missing row here, missing column rather, and after this, after S, we had a column at, after S is what alphabetically? Yes, T. So if we had another column at T, if we try to select everything, it will not select T. It will break at S. So I'm going to undo that by pressing Ctrl Z. I'll undo that. So just bear in mind that wherever there is a missing value, Excel will break the selection. Okay? All right. So let's do it again. So we'll do this time around, we'll do Control Shift, right? Then don't leave it. Don't leave it. Then we'll now press down. And this will select the entire data. So maybe let me see yours. So hold on. Now, where you are is a good example of what I need to show you. This is why it's good to make mistake. Let's say you find yourself stuck here, and you have to go back to the top. So, and assuming you didn't have screen touch like maybe that can scroll fast. So I now have to do this. You can see the way I'm suffering. My hand is tired, and I hold up arrow key, and I'm now doing this, and I'm tired, and I have to do this. Yeah, just imagine this suffering. If you want to jump to the top or the bottom of your column or row, all you need to do is press Control and your arrow key. So maybe Control and up, you jump to the. Now, the reason why I'm stopping at 939 is because I'm guessing there is a missing cell on top of it, and you see. Excel will stop at the blank space. So I'll just continue and I'll make my way to the top. So if you find yourself lost in somewhere in your worksheet, just hold Control with your arrow keys and you can jump around your worksheet the way I'm doing. So right now I'm at the top, I'm at the far right, bottom left, just like that. But if you include Shift, you will be selecting. So you can see. So let's select the entire worksheet now. So go to A1, cell A1, Control Shift, hold it, right arrow key, then down arrow key. All right, now you can free your selection. Chilling, you're good. Okay, maybe how about you? You're good. All right, time to create the infamous pivot table. So what you want to do is come to insert. If I'm correct, my memory serves me correct. I will have to go to insert because I haven't used this in a while. So come to insert and you will see an option that says pivot table. Don't click. Have you seen it? Pivot table. All right. So now feel free. Okay, now you see options. You can insert a table. You can insert a pivot table. So don't worry your head about what those two things mean. But what you want to do right now is my instruction, click on pivot table. Just click on pivot table. You will be greeted with a dialog box or a window. Call it what you want. And this is what it's going to say. You have an option to. Are you on the same screen? Okay. It says create pivot table. Choose the data you want to analyze. And it says select a table or range. Remember I told you that there are two methods to create a pivot table. One is a range. The second method is a table. As amateurs that we are for today, we will use a range. Now, notice what happens there. It says IMDb movie data set. Then it says $A, $1. Then colon. If you look at yours, it says the same thing. $R, $3726. What that means is that you have selected what? $R, there should be 3726. Then there's an issue with your selection. What version of Excel are you using? Okay, yours is going from A to R. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No need to panic. Since it's not showing any number before the A, fine. So what it means is we are selecting from A1 to arrow 3726, which is the last cell. Which any numbers? You are doing from a table. That is why you are selecting. You are about to now. I told you that yours have there's a table here. So what you will do is click on this and so A set the range to A1. It's even B is speaking from. Then arrow 3726, right? So we want to take from A1, not A12. So from A1 to 3726. This is how you 3726 is correct. A1 to 3726. This is how you use a range. You can type any range you want. So for the sake of practice, bear with us. So for the sake of practice, I don't want us to use the entire data set yet. Let's just create a pivot table which we will delete. But this time around, let's just use a small portion. Let's go from A1 up to G34. G34. So the way it is going to be displayed is you will see inside there, you see dollar sign G, dollar sign, sorry, going the wrong way. Dollar sign A, right? For you. Then column, dollar sign R. Take your cursor to this part where you see R, turn it to G. So now you should have dollar sign G. Then add dollar sign 34 to it. So now you should have dollar sign A and dollar sign 1. So, yes, then dollar sign 34. We'll do the same thing for A, dollar sign 1. Yeah. Then add dollar sign. It's not. Let's add this there, dollar sign 1. Your selection is not. Click. Okay, now rearrange it. Good morning. Yes, use these tags. Use this one. Whatever yours is showing first, may change it to this. Welcome. Why are you late? Something came up. I thought should be coming down now. Not be coming up. Maybe? How about you? How is it going? Okay, fine. Stop there. Yes. Dollar sign G34. Yes, G34. Dollar sign 34. You have to specify dollar sign 34. Then dollar sign 1. Okay. Dollar sign 1 is that? Is that S or 1? Dollar sign 1. All right. All right. All right. Close this. Need to close this. Anyway, just do it. If it pops up anything, then we'll treat it. All right. While you're launching your system, so this is another very important option. You have the option of saying new worksheet or existing worksheet. So please do not use the existing worksheet because this will force Excel to create your pivot table on this worksheet, which you don't want to do. Very, very bad practice. Always create it to a new worksheet. New worksheet. So go ahead and say okay. If it pops up anything, let me know. Yes, just open it from yesterday. What happened? All right. New, leave it like that and just say, okay, congratulations. You should clap for yourself. Clap for yourself now. Kili, clap for yourself. You're too big to clap for yourself.
No, no, they shock me.
I'm shocking you. Well done. Congratulations. You've created your first test pivot table. Now, the reason I wanted you to create this is because I want you to know how to work with this. I've never explained this part of Excel before. Never explained this part. So the way it works here is an Excel file is a workbook. It's a workbook. So inside the workbook, you have pages, right? Inside every book, you have pages. So each page is a worksheet. That's why I was asking you to create a new worksheet. So this is the worksheet. If I want to create a new worksheet, I'll click on the plus button to create a new worksheet. Create a new worksheet. So in your workbook now, you have two worksheets. The raw data, which will be IMDb movie database, and one that will answer pivot table by default. Is this so? What is the name of the second worksheet? New sheet. Sheet one rather. Which one? Sheet one. What did it call itself? This is sheet one, what I'm saying. The new sheet would bear the name of sheet one by default. Then IMDb database is your raw data. Cool. Go to your downloads. Where are you? Who did it for you? The other user. Not here. This folder is empty. Okay, it's not my dearest students. It's too early. Remember, I created a folder called Data Science Uptake. Okay, you put it there. Yes, we put it there. Then we have the next Excel. Okay. You get used to it. That's how it will be working. All right. What was I saying? So it will name itself sheet one automatically. What you can do is double click on the text and you can rename it. But I'll show you how to do that later. So you can right click on it and delete it also. So what you can do, so this is the particular pivot table that says sheet one. Right click and delete. Delete it. Right click and delete it. Yes, confirm the delete. Delete the entire sheet. All right, fine. What's your name again? Victory. Try to remember. So, Victory, this is what we are doing. We are creating a pivot table, which is what you will use to analyze data in Excel. Without pivot tables, you cannot analyze data at all, at all. Not like you cannot, you can, but your life will be miserable. You'll be sad. You'll be angry with yourself. It's a very long process because Excel has a lot of formulas and you need to type plenty formulas to do one small thing. That's the problem. But when you're using pivot tables, you don't type any formula. If you type formula, there's a part where you type a formula, but it's not intensive. So the typing is there's less typing and there's more automation. So because there's less human input and more automation, the efficiency increases, the speed increases, the error margin reduces. Understand? Which is why we prefer pivot tables. It's not like you can't do it, but like I said, your life will be miserable. You're just going to be sad. Because it gets to a point where the formulas will conflict. So, Victory, click on title, cell A1. Are you familiar with Excel at all? You must be. Very good. You look like. So select the entire worksheet. Wow, very, very, wow. All right, come to insert pivot table. No, not that insert.
Okay.
Then pivot table. Oh, stop there, stop there, stop there, stop there. So you have two options. It says table or range. This is a table I created. I'll show you the table your own, but yours already has a table. But you want to create from a range. So what you do is click here. No, you need this button first, and you try to pick the range you want to select from. So right now it is saying from cell A2 to cell R2, which is not what we want. What you do is you say from cell A1, just change the range to, let me find the entire range of my own data. So we'll use the same range. 3276 is the entire range. So the rest of you do the same. This time we are doing it for real. We are going from A1 up to R3276, if I'm correct. Let me see. 3726 rather. 3726. 3726. So from A1 to R3726. And this time we are creating it for real. This is not a drill. So change the range. And you just type it inside here. Hold on. Hold on. Now you want to select a range. Just pick anywhere. Doesn't matter. Yes. Doesn't matter here. Just pick anywhere. So now you have the template. So you want from A1, then colon, then you do dollar sign, arrow, dollar sign, 3726. That's all you need to do. So you are picking from cell A1 to cell 3726 on column R, which is the entire range of the data. Maybe what is going on? Here is the pivot table. Set the range A1 to 3726. Actually, 726. Yes. Use this formatting A $1, $1, $1. Let me spell it out. So this is the way it is going to be $A, $1, colon, $R, $3726. So it is beginning to look too cluttered. So it is $, colon, $, the start row to $, colon, $, the end row. So row 3726 is the end. And now, if I take this, I think we should need to write this down. If I convert this to my selection, it's now $A, $ row 1, which is now A1, up to, now these are columns, $column R, $3726. This is the last row. So I'm starting at A1 and I'm ending at this point. So make sure it's matching. Okay. Do you have to include the name of the sheet? That is why, yes, the name of the sheet has to be included. This is correct. Just column, add column. Then it's fine. Edit it. All right, Victor, you're good. Click on OK. Data source is not valid. Let's see. Okay, data source. The name is IMDb movie database. So this one, get rid of it. That's why data source was not valid. So from A1 to R, 3, 7, 2, 6, 1,000. Click OK. Let's see. Fine. Actually, click OK if you're sure. No, that's a semicolon. So click on OK. Wow, that was intense. So you have created your pivot table, and this time is for real. Now this is the pivot table we'll be using. So this formula, everybody has it. Please, this is the way you set your range. This is the way you set your range. Please. The column you want to start from and the row number. The column you want to end at and the row number. And before this, the name of your file has to be included. So we are picking from this file, this sheet. So you are just pointing at the sheet name, start from this column at this row, end at this column and this row. That's the way it worked. Are we good? All right. So, very, very welcome. Pivot table. Once you create the pivot table, you will see, the only thing you will see is this object that looks like a calculator or a calendar. What does it look like in your eye, actually? Calculator. No, what does it look like in your eye? Calendar. You say calendar. So we'll go with calendar. All right. We'll see this calendar. So now this is something that will happen. I know it will happen. Just click here, click outside, click on no man's land. Yes, because you've created a sheet 1 before. You deleted sheet 1, but Excel knows. Say sheet 2. So they used to be having sheet 2. So mine is sheet 1. So when you clicked on this, clicked on no man's land, what did you notice on your screen? All of this have disappeared. Very observant. You not notice it. Notice it. All of this gone. So for you to see this again, you have to click on the calendar. then you see it again. It's back, right? Cool. These are what we call pivot fields, and your chances of surviving in a pivot table depends on how well you understand pivot fields. What's the time now? 10:21. Your chances of survival in a pivot table depends on how well you understand pivot fields. So when I say pivot fields, if you look at your raw data and you look at the pivot fields you have, you would realize that somehow those columns are the pivot fields now. We had a column called title. So refer back to your raw data. Refer back to this sheet. And you will see that we had a column called title. Now title appears as a pivot field. Do you see that? We had a column called release date. Release date now appears as a pivot field. We had a column called genre. Genre now appears as a pivot field. Okay, now come back to your pivot table. So what that means is Excel takes all the column names and turns them into these pivot fields. So all your columns become the pivot field. That's what you need to understand. That's how that works. Now, this is all you'll be using to work. Not all, but most of the time, for you to view your data, and this is very important, very, very crucial. For you to be able to view your data, you need to arrange your data into rows and columns. Now, let's talk about pivot rows and columns. Very, very important. The way we know rows and columns to work in real world, it's not the way it works in a pivot table. At all. It's not the way it works in a pivot table. So, again, refer back to your raw data. In the column of title, we see that all the titles are arranged in that column, right? Row by row in one column. Are you noticing that? All the titles, go to your raw data, in the column of title. So when we have title, I'm using title because it's just the first column. We have row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5 to row n. And all the titles are listed row by row under that column. Now, this is the way we understand rows and columns to function in the real world. Now, welcome to pivot table. I want you to click. Do you have an external mouse? You don't have. No wahala. We'll manage. Click on title and drag it to columns and see the mess you will make out of it. It will make a very big mess. And I will do it. In fact, let me lead by example. So I will click on my title. No, click on it in the pivot field. Click on your Chile. Hold on. Your Chile, hold on. You clicked outside, in the empty cells. The pivot field disappeared. You've clicked on the pivot field again. All right, let me show you what's happening. It's usually it's there. It's there. So if you click on it, now it may be because your screen size. Okay. There's an option. Show pivot table option. Okay. Yes, so that is it. Now this is different. So what you've done. When you do this, and do this is one thing.
And you can't.
When you do this is another thing. Beginner mistake, no problem. No, is it the same? That those heads I think they're round. Let me see. Let me see yours if it fits.
It's not, but it's not as big as wide
Not close. What about the one under? There's a
as. Okay, then.
yes, all the decks have sockets under. Try it.
It's not going to shock me.
No, it's off. When you plug it, I'll turn it on.
Okay.
It's off from the wall. When you plug it, you can turn it on. Don't be afraid. Yes, but that one has an issue. That particular desk. Mm. Use you use your instincts.
This one is not what I said.
This desk, I think this desk has a flaw, has a fault. Really rich. Hold on. No worry. Let me just use the tension.
Should I go back to come to the website?
Maybe that would be better. Let me get to see this one. I was like, tomorrow if you come and bring an extension or something. Heavily. All right. Where did you include your value columns? No, I said columns. You added it to rows. So this was his example I was illustrating. Now, if I bring my title to columns, remember, now this is the reason why I'm doing this, it's a mistake you will naturally make. Because you see that title is a column in the raw data, it's easy for you to say, so since title is a column, why don't I bring title to columns so I can view the data? And once you do this, watch what you have. This is what you're going to have. Now, I will not do it, just do it so that you have an experience of what that mistake feels like. You don't need internet for this. Except you just want to take it to columns, not rows. Now, what you're doing, you are taking advantage of Excel's intelligence. Excel knows that this should go to row. Once you click on it, it will automatically drop it in the row field. But naturally, since you saw that title is a column and you want to view the data, you will naturally want to drag it to columns to view it as a column. But when you do that, this is what you end up with.
Oh, that's what it means.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you click and drag. Click and drag. Maybe don't click on it. You click and drag it. That's why I say there's no mouse. Are you seeing it? You drag it to the. All right. Now, what has happened is this. Like I said, pivot tables are strange. It's a strange place to be. What Excel has done is it takes every single data and it gives each of them a column. So this is a data in that column Friday. Friday will not have its own column. May will be a column. November, these are movie titles. Then now every data will now become a column. But when you take it from columns to row, all the entries will be define a row. Now that is how pivot table work. I told you that pivot table is not as you would think a normal data structure would be. So all the data inside any pivot field, if you drag them to column, every data will be a column on its own. If you drag them to a row, each of them will be assigned a row. So now that you've seen that this is not working, so take the title again and drag it to rows this time around. Are you seeing the difference? Now it's now arranged. First time I used pivot table and I saw this thing, my mind was like, how and why is it working like that? I didn't even understand why this was happening. All right, so you see, once you drag it to row, now every data is assigned a row of its own. Wonderful. Chili, are you here? Victory, on the same pace. Cool. Congratulations. What's the time? Let's see how fast we can. 32. Accurate timekeeper. Now we are here. This is what data type is this? Title. What data type does it fall under? Yes. Eh? Yes. What data type does it hold? This title field. What is categorical? Thank you. We're not here when we started. So it is a categorical data. It's categorical data. So, like I said now, if we want to group them by title, each title is unique. It will not work. It does not make sense because we end up with 3,000 titles and 3,000 groups is too much. Now, let's deal with our numeric values. So, we see we have budget is numeric value. So if you scroll down, most of you, your screens may not be as big as mine. So your fields may be shrinked. You may not see all of them at once. So you have to scroll down to see the rest of the fields. So you have budget, you have gross revenue, you have duration. These are numeric data. We have total reviews, IMDb score, movie, Facebook like, and so on. Those are our numeric data. Now, inside here, you will see a area called values. Values is reserved for numeric data. So your categorical data will go into yes, and it doesn't really matter. Usually it doesn't matter. Just know that any field you drag into rows, it will display all the individual values row by row. If you put it in columns, it will put them out column by column. Understand that? So what I want you to do is drag the gross revenue. Let's work with the budget first. Drag the budget to values. Remember, drag it. Don't click on it. Learn how to drag. Because Excel is intelligent, but it will not always catch what you want to do. So we're dragging the budget to values. And voila. Congratulations. People are very, very impressive. So it does the same thing. It takes all the data and assigns a row to each of them because it's in the value field. So now we see that for the movie title Friday, this was the budget. For the movie title May, this was the budget. For the movie title November, this was the budget for the movie. And you see all that data. Now, this is how you view data in a pivot table. This is how you view data in a pivot table. Now, the next step is number formatting, which is very, very important. Number formatting. I think that'll be the last thing we might do today. number formatting, which I think could be the last thing we'll do today. So, why is number formatting important? Well, look at this. These are just numbers. Are they in which currency? Are they in dollar? We do not know. Are they in naira? We do not know. Are there, is there a decimal point somewhere or a comma I want to add somewhere? We do not know. Exactly. Which is why number formatting is very, very important. So there are two steps to do that. Step number one is you can click on the column you want to format, right click on it, and then you see number format. Have you seen that? So this is what I'm referring to. You do this, my mouse, right click, sorry, come on. And then you will see number format. All right, that's one. But if you trust me, don't do it like this. This will work, but it will take you straight to the number formatting page or the number formatting window. What you want to do is use the value field settings. And you can also find it here on this drop down. So that this is one here. What I want you to use instead is value field settings. So here, if you click on this drop down, you will see value field settings. Are you seeing that? Cool. Number formatting is fine, but like I said, use the value field settings because it gives you more options. There are more options to it. Number formatting will just take you to the number formatting page. So click on value field settings. Now there are two ways. You can use the drop down here. Okay? You can use this, or you do the right clicking method, value field settings. We will still end up here. So this is number value field formatting. This is equally value field formatting. So either ways, use the value field formatting. Now, this is why I say use the value field settings better. You can see number format as a button. So had even we clicked on number formatting, we will skip all of this. We will not have had the privilege of seeing all of this, and we would just jump to number format. Now, why I say use the value field setting is this. Right now, we are displaying the values as the sum. We can display the values as the count. Now, I will explain all of this to you. And I wish you're taking notes because I'm explaining this part. Very, very important. The sum is a total of each row. The sum is a total of each row or group. We'll talk about groups later. But bear in mind that when you're showing summarized values by sum, it is the total of each row or each group. So right now we are displaying the values as the sum, which means for this row, the total number of values is 350.
You said it's not the road.
The total per row or group. Yes, yes, on that row. Yes, yes, yes. So this is the total, this is the total, this is the total, this is total. Now, if we say count, it will count. So if you change this to count, it will all turn to 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Because on this row, there's just 1. That's 1. If you do the average, it will show by, well, we'll come to like proper uses of these values later. Let's look at the average. We can look at them by the product, minimum value, the maximum value, and so on. Then we can do show values as, which I would just want to hint on these things first before we go ahead to format the number. So there is the summarize values by, and there is show values as. Are you seeing that? So when you click on show values as, you see different options. You see, first of all, it says no calculation, right? Now, the beautiful thing is you click on this drop down and you now start seeing different options, which is the beauty. As first option, it says the grand percentage of the grand total. And what that means is in percentages, everything sums up to 100%. Everything must be 100%. Doesn't matter how big or small. Everything must be 100%. So that movie Friday, how many percent is it contributing to the total? Are you understanding that? So let's say we are you're three students, right? And you take a test. This person scored 70. This person scored, say, 30, 20. That person scored 10. If you're looking at percentage, the total marks was like 100. So everybody total 100%. So what you score, what is your percentage in comparison with the whole value? So if you say the show percentage of grand total, that's what it's going to be. So if you say show percentage of column total, we can choose the show percentage of the row total, and just like that. So, but we will look at all of this in detail later. But for now, just click on number format. Just go to number format. I just want to show you why you should use. All right, for now, go straight to number format. And right now, Excel is formatting it as just a number. But since we're talking about money, budget, right? We want to show it as a currency. So click on currency. Click on currency, and then you can choose the currency you want. If you want yours to be displayed in any currency, okay? And now, another thing you want to bear in mind is the number of decimal places. For me, I will say 0 decimal places before I so for me, I don't want any decimal places, any decimal values. So it's dollar, 0 decimal places, and I will say okay. And say okay for all of that. Now you see it's now well represented. Now remember to save your work, Control S, so that you don't lose your progress. Are you saving your work as you're going? Control S, so that you don't lose your progress. When you change it, you move your file again. Yes. Everything. Go to your number format. Let's see. Let's see. It's not coming from here. It's not coming from here. It's only where it's coming from. So first, let's fix this part. I just need the symbol.
So you put dollar up. Okay.
Okay, yes. Yes, taking.
But
Stay in touch.
United States.
Okay. All right. So now the reason for that will be in your value field setting. So sum normalized value by percentage of grand total. That's what you set yours to.
Okay.
So
Population.
then
Let's say do the same thing.
yes, go back value field setting, number formats, currency,
So
then pick your dollar. Right. So save your work so you don't lose progress. Yes, you are calling my attention.
This thing, this this data,
Yes.
they are coming from this.
Yes.
File. Now this Friday,
Yes.
is it under this
Title. Yes.
movie title, like
Yes.
the movie name
Friday. Yes.
and now this
Value
this value
shares the same role with Friday.
is it like if for example this metric, let's talk about like we are using
Let me show you what you let me make it easy for you. So open the filter. You want just Friday. This is the budget for Friday.
okay the budget. This is just the figure, the budget figure
Yes,
for Friday. It's not like
yes.
it's the accumulated sum of
No,
all
no,
this.
no, no, no. Now we are dealing with this per field. So remember, all the columns turned into fields. So when you drag title to rows, it creates a row for every entry inside here now. Hmm? Then when you bring the code, the field of budget to values, it will find where they match and
Okay,
display
where
them
the title
matches.
the budget
Yes,
and it will bring it just to that particular title.
yes, yes, that's what it does.
But the rule there from the spread from this
The raw data.
Friday is not the
It's not
first.
the first,
Yeah,
yes.
so why is it not scattered?
So it's not scattered, this is more arranged. Now, this is doing it by, you can see it starts with the numeric ones that has numbers first. Then you can see all of this, all the first. So if you go there, you see 4, you see 5, you see 8, then A. Okay. So this error is something we'll treat later. I'll show you how to fix this error where for some reason there's a error that causes one value to display where it's not supposed to be. Because Friday is supposed to start where they are F. Yes, we don't worry about that one. I'll fix it. It's deliberate.
So if you bring the cross
Values, it will display the gross value. Yes.
respect to each
Yes. 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 Gross revenue. Yes. And then you can go ahead and format. Yes. Exactly. Any other questions? Please ask me your questions. This last 10 minutes.
I'm supposed to say.
Yes, save. Please save. Victor, ask me your questions.
And I wasn't here from the beginning, so I missed out on
Everything.
all you said.
Chile, your note is complete,
Did
right?
you take any notes?
I was just jotting.
Let me see something like that. I can
So
copy.
Use glasses.
No,
How this night?
Chineke. See that part?
Very terrible.
Sin is shocking. How could I